Well, a warm welcome everybody back to the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine. It's race 2 here for the Spa-Francorchamps weekend, round 2 on our calendar, and it takes us around this 7.004 kilometre circuit, translated to 4.352 miles, 19 turns. Established and opened back in August 1921. The temperature's vastly different again from yesterday. We go a little bit hotter with a 32.1 degree track temperature and just over 20 degrees in the air as well. The fans very much enjoying this. Clouds in the sky, but they're all pearly white in amidst the blue sky. Here is the grid. Rafael Camara on pole position. It's a Prema front row lockout with James Wharton in starting second place. We then have Tuka Tapinen in third for RS GP, with Ugo Ogachukwu making it 3 Premas in the top 4. Alessandro Giusti then further down in 5th with Noah Stromsted 6. Enzo Tellini in 7th with Roman Belinsky, who was on pole yesterday's race, with 8th place going to him this time. Ivan Dominguez in 9th, Evan Gilter in 10th. Teofil Nile in 11th with Brando Bador starting in 12th. Enzo Peugeot then further down starting 13th with Zachary David in 14th. Canato Lee in 15th spot with Matteo De Parlo. Valerio Rinicella in 17th with Edgar Pierre. Marta Garcia starting in 19th for Ian Dames. Pedro Claro in 20th. Ruiki Liu in 21st. Nando Verbiran Bakhti starting 22nd. Nico Lecourt in 23rd with Alex Sauer starting in 24th place. Further down, Nikhil Bora in 25th, Giovanni Maschio in 26th, Yaroslav Vasalejo in 27th, Roman Andriolo in 28th, Jesse Carrasquedo Jr. 29th, with Lena Bula starting in 30th spot. And at the back of the grid, it's Costa de Paris for Kick Motorsport. Well, the cars making their way around now, and very shortly, at the end of the formation lap, they will realign themselves onto the grid, ready for the race start. Coming into this one, what a result for Prema off the back of a qualifying session this morning that saw James Wharton recovering off the back of the crash he sustained yesterday in qualifying, and now finds himself on the front row of the grid after listing a 2 minute 15 162 in the first group of qualifying. Of course, Group B went out first as opposed to second, like they did for yesterday's race. Rafael Camara went out in Group A and then managed to strike the top with a 2:14.254 to enhance Prema's position for this race. And not only that, Ugo Ogachukwu starting on the second row of the grid in that McLaren shaded livery. Prema in full control for the start of this race, but they do still have an RS GP opponent. The rivalry burning bright between these two teams in this championship, with Tuka Tapinen. If you want to win, hire a Finn, and that's exactly what he'll be looking to achieve this time around. Alessandro Giusti back to where we would usually like to see him, 5th place. Noah Stromsted starting from 6th on the grid. Of course, the leading rookie in this grid order had the podium taken away from him after a post-race penalty. That would further enable Rafael Camara's race win. Of course, remember, it was the RPM driver, Noah Stromsted, that challenged him heading down through towards the final corners. But as they now all line up, they'll get set and ready to race. Just waiting for the remaining drivers. Costa de Paris lining up at the tail end of the field very shortly. Of course, following suit with the likes of Lena Bula, who also lines up towards the rear. Here comes the pace car, filtering in at the back. All eyes on the green flag as the marshal waves it. And here come the lights. 3rd light, 4th light, and the 5th light. And it's pedal to the metal, and it is go, 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 go. Great response there from Rafael Camara. Not a great response for Enzo Tellini further back, who loses a place to the Van Amersfoort in behind. Tuka Tapinen jumping off and remains in 3rd as well, but Prema maintaining their spots at the front of the order. Further back, Alessandro Giusti also getting a great start. He's up to 4th with Ugo Ogachukwu not getting, I would say, the best of launches. In fact, I'd say he'd filtered backwards as they now climb up through Eau Rouge and Radion. An MP Motorsport car just dodging off at the back. There is Ogachukwu further back in the order there. You can just see him at the rear of the field. Not sure what happened to him, but as we're now watching them climb the hill, leading up through towards Les Combes, Camara out in front. Here comes Tuka Tapinen in car number 8 for the RS GP team. If you want to win, as I said before, hire a Finn, and he's going to go for the race lead. Coming through Malmedy, Tuka Tapinen taps on Camara for the race lead. coming through Malmedy, down towards Rivage, and the R-Race GP car now in front with one of its, what looks to be a Sansalot car. They've ventured into the gravel. They're going in tandem through towards the Rivage section, but an incredible start, certainly on behalf of Tucker Tappinen. A massive launch, and now we see the Tridents making their way through the gravel. Really bizarre scenes at the start, but a very, very good getaway for the front end. As now we see them all sort themselves out. Further back, Noah Stromstead also making places. He's now in 4th place. In terms of Ugo Ugachukwu, he is down in 30th spot after not getting the best of runs, obviously. Quite a surprise to see him so far down. Of course, coming into this one, we thought he was starting towards the front end. Something must have happened during the start procedure that meant that he's lost all these places. He's now with 24 minutes and 10 to go, plus 1 lap come the end of the race. Noah Stromstead recovering after missing out on a podium yesterday. He's decided afterwards with a post-race penalty that he would lose out, promoting the likes of Roman Belinsky up to 2nd. Zachary David then moved up into 3rd. Well, Zachary David would be delighted with that, because that would put an R-Race GP car onto the podium. The 2 Santaloks running wheel to wheel further back as well. That's between, I think, Teofil Niall and Zachary David. Further up, Enzo Peugeot also part of all this too. A little move from Stromstead causing Wharton to go and evade any sort of action on his part. So now we see another lockup further back. Now that's another MP Motorsport car just diving up the inside there, and really a big major move. I think it might have been Rinicella trying that on Kanato Lay as they now climb the hill once again on the next lap. Tappinen still out in front. Kamara still trying to close it. There's Ugo Ugachukwu further back. Kamara, who has already witnessed his lead be ripped away from him. Tucker Tappinen is going to try and force him to the outside as they swap all across the homes, all across the straight leading up through Kemmel, and Kamara right in the curbs and trying with all his might, trying to see Tucker Tappinen, and he's trying to hang it on around the outside, but Tappinen, fair, respectful racing between the pair of them as they head down through towards Rivage, but Tappinen managing to be the better in this exchange. A fabulous little battle between those two as they made it up through towards Kemmel. Coming up through Les Combes, Kamara tried, and from one instance it looked like he might have been able to pull it off, but not quite. And Tucker Tappinen frustrating him once again as they now send it through towards Pouon. A downwards in-swinger, which will then take them through into the rest of the middle sector. We've got Roman Belinsky there in 8th spot as well, trying to close up on Ivan Dominguez on that Van Amersfoort car. Of course, remember, it was Belinsky who started on pole yesterday, stated that because they had used tyres in comparison to the rest of the grid, that was why he lost his places. Did well, though, to maintain the podium, to bring home a P2 for the Trident team. And Noah Stromstead looking to right the wrong from before. Oh, car number 15. That's a Van Amersfoort car that has just taken a trip off the track. Brando Bador licking up the gravel and has unfortunately unsettled his balance right now, was fighting it out with Enzo Delini as they come down in towards the bus stop chicane. As we now see him make his way through now, and once again trying to challenge the 74 Santalok as they head through a squeal of the tyres, and once again Clero forced to cut to the inside, pushing out the Santalok 74 belonging to Enzo Peugeot, once again part of the rookie contingent this season. Once again they run wheel to wheel, coming through the initial Azor section. 2 Santaloks trying to squeeze and box in Pedro Clero at this point. Did credit, of course, the Santalok team for their efforts during the course of this weekend so far. Had a great qualifying for yesterday's race. Tucker Tappinen just taking the fastest lap of the race now for R-Race GP. Still with the race lead, but Kamara hovering all over him in behind. We've also got some movements further back. Once again, Stromstead on the cusp, but perhaps moving himself up into a podium place. They make contact, heading up through towards Les Combes. Wharton, now the switch back in the hands of Stromstead. Will he go for it, heading through Malmedy? Wharton forced out deep, has now once again pushed a little bump job perhaps here from Noah Stromstead as they come together, coming down towards Rivage. This is inviting Alessandro Giusti into this fight as well, and he's bringing along fellow F4, French F4 champion Gilter into this fight too. So it's all starting to build up in this battle for P3, and Stromstead, who was very nearly, well, he was very nearly taking hold and keeping P3, crossing the timing line. He was just about in front, but James Wharton doing enough, coming through Les Combes just to hold on to the place. So it will update heading through out of Sector 2 in towards Sector 3, but a massive moment. And in fact, it looks like Noah Stromsted might have lost a little bit of traction in that, because now all of a sudden it's Alessandro Giusti who is on his tail, and Evan Chilter not too far behind, the two French drivers. As I said before, both having successful F4 careers so far. There's Roman Belinsky in the familiar number 4. Currently sat in 8th place, closing up to Ivan Dominguez. Another fantastic race here for Dominguez, the Portuguese driver, after scoring the points that he had done back at Hockenheimring. Would like to emulate that success, maybe even obtain a little more. Tucker Tappinen also looking for a big result this weekend for RHGP, who've had successes in the past here with the likes of Gabriel Bortoletto in the past. Kamara, though, keeping him honest in behind too. Still plenty of racing to be had. We've got 18 minutes and 50 plus 1 lap to bring you. Enzo Dellini also having a good race so far. He's right in the mix of it. Dominguez, alluding to his successes, scoring 10 points back in race 1 at Hockenheim. 15 points in race 2 at Hockenheim as well. He was on the podium for that one, finished P3. His first podium of the season. And here in Formula Regional as well, in terms of the European Championship by Alpine, as they now hurtle uphill. Now Kamara has got the lead back away from Tappinen. So there we have it. That must have happened in the initial stages of the Camel Straight, and Belinsky onto the grass. Roman Belinsky, he's coming back onto the track. Great evasive action there for the 44. And Belinsky does well to dodge out the way. Surely now the cars have got to filter through and try and dodge the stricken Trident. But I'm not sure quite what happened in that instance. But luckily enough, all the cars making it through. And very, I must say, fantastic instincts from Roman Belinsky. I've got to applaud him for that. There was nothing more he could have done. He was onto the grass, and credit to him for reversing out of the way as quickly as he could, allowing all the cars to filter outwards. But a moment that he's certainly not going to want to remember. Not quite sure how that occurred, but let's keep our eyes peeled. You can see him in the background. Wow, pushed out wide for sure, I would say, and that's the, if I'm not mistaken, the Van Amersfoort 89 Ivan Dominguez, incidentally. But like I said, and you can understand he's likely going to be immensely frustrated with that, but very smartly moved his car out the way and just allowing an avenue for the other cars to come through. But a scary moment for Roman Belinsky, who, I must say, very unfortunate. And I'd imagine Ivan Dominguez is going to receive, I'm sure, a reprimand on behalf of race control for that one, but I'll update you should we hear any more news concerning that, folks. As we now revisit what's happening further up the order. Kamara, of course, as we alluded to, taking that race lead back away from Tucker Tappinen. 7/10 between them. James Wharton then holding back Noah Stromsted. The Prema 1-2 that they had at the very start of the race, obviously now has been very much surpassed with Tucker Tappinen in between, as they now come out of La Source at turn 1, and then will make the trip up through Eau Rouge and Radion. Kamara now trying to build a healthy advantage. 7/10 now as they record it, coming across the timing line. They'll then venture uphill. Enzo Dellini trying to close up to Ivan Dominguez in 7th spot, with Teofil Nile in 9th place. Santalot currently holding on to Ps 9 and Ps 10. More points could be on the table for them here. They had a good point haul last time out, as now Noah Stromsted goes around the outside here of James Wharton for 3rd place in the RPM car, back into podium contention. Lost out on it yesterday. He's going to try and take it back today. He had to dice for the Premier in a duel for the race lead, coming onto the final lap in the final sector through the final corners. This time Stromsted is going to try and take down another Premier, this time James Wharton, who did not partake in yesterday's race after crashing out in qualifying, but has every chance to open his account here at Spa this weekend, but still needs to try and take back Stromsted if he wants to feature on the podium here in this one. But he has still got Alessandro Giusti, and the safety car has been deployed. The safety car has been deployed, and the incident involving Roman Belinsky and Ivan Dominguez, I can confirm, is under investigation at race control. So the safety car has come out here on track. And as I can see on my screen, I do see the Pedro Clero going slowly as well through turns 3 and 4. I'm also looking on my screen. Roman Belinsky's car is moving. Oh, big crash. That is, goodness me, that very nearly going sideways. That's the 29. God, very big moment there from Nandavad Biram-Bhakdi, the Thai driver. Unfortunately, finding himself off the track for Kick Motorsport and out of the race. Did not see how that one really occurred properly, but you'll be disappointed. But he's out of the car and he is okay, which is fantastic news. The safety car now out on track, as it so rightly has done. Certainly been provided by race control in this instance as the marshals go to work to clear the debris. And Ugo Gachukwu has been putting in a huge effort as well to try and regain the places that he lost. Remember, of course, at the very start, being dropped down to 30th in the timing screen. He's now up to 22nd after the initial. Now, this is the moment. Wow, big multiple cars involved. There was another one off there. That's the number 16, belonging to Roman Andriolo from G4 Racing. So coming together, and you can just see he's been brought to a halt just at the escape road. Now, whether his car has also suffered intense damage, I'm not quite sure, but I'm looking on my screen now, and I believe that Andriolo is still making his way around on track, though he may have come into the pits. I'm just trying to see on the track map. I can't see him, but yes, obviously Andriolo and Biram-Bhakdi coming together through towards Les Combes. And under full course yellow safety car conditions here, with 13 minutes and 15 still to go. Kamara out in front, bidding to become a back-to-back race winner here this weekend. And no one in the history of Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine since 2021 here at Spa has ever taken back-to-back race wins during the Spa weekend. Of course, last season, Rafael Kamara may have won it. Prema, of course, have had back-to-backs as a team, with Rafael Kamara and Andrea Kimi Antonelli doing it in 2023 itself. Kamara not only looking to go back-to-back years with race wins at this circuit, but also back-to-back races in one weekend here this year. And it will be the first of his kind to do so as well, which is pretty incredible. Such a feat as well. And given the fact that he does hold a grand advantage in this race so far, if this does continue, this will be his third win of the season, making it 3 wins out of 4 races this campaign, with a 100% podium record as well, and highlighting his brilliance surely for the Prema team. And you never know, we could well be seeing him on the Formula 3 grid next season. Of course, still early days in this championship. We have several different locations to take you through until the grand finale in October. We have Zandvoort coming up on the 7th to the 9th of June, Hungaroring on the 21st to the 23rd of June, and Mugello coming up in July on the 12th to the 14th. Paul Ricard then on the 19th to the 21st. Imola coming up in the 6th to 8th of September. Red Bull Ring on the 13th to the 15th of September alike, with Barcelona making it a triple Formula Regional weekend in September. Of course, Barcelona on the 27th to the 29th as well, with Monza, the Temple of Speed, the grand finale at the end of October, 25th to the 27th. So lots to look forward to through the course of this campaign. The question is, will it be Kamara who carries this form right through to the tail end? We've got some very talented rookie drivers coming up through, including the likes of Ivan Dominguez and Evan Gilter. Dominguez obviously involved in that incident. Enzo Delini, of course, looks promising. And Pedro Clero, who scored some very decent early points for the Van Amersfoort team as well. Not to mention, it's great to have Lena Bula back in the championship. Just caught sight of her livery making her way. The lime green livery, of course, famously on the Sauber, generally provided to the Sauber Academy drivers. And the Swiss driver, in her initial run, this is her 7th race here in the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine in her career in this series. And hoping for some decent points as well. Great race as well for Marta Garcia so far, currently standing in 14th place for the former F1 Academy 2023 champion. And chasing after Zachary David in a pursuit for 13th place, got Brando Bador then further up. Still looking good for Van Amersfoort. They have, of course, got Dominguez there, obviously subject to the investigation into the incident before. Obviously not quite sure how that's going to work out, but they've also got Brando Bador sat in 12th place, just 2 places outside the points. Fastest lap as well going to Enzo Peugeot so far, who, like we so rightly said, after taking the fastest lap in his group only yesterday, remember Group A going out first in qualifying 1 to decide the grid for race 1, in very treacherous wet conditions, Enzo Peugeot was sensational, pulling out the stops to lead his group, but as conditions improved, Roman Belinsky taking advantage of the better conditions on track, managing to post a lap that was 7 seconds faster than Enzo Peugeot, but take nothing away from Peugeot. Obviously showing that he still very much has the pace, nestling in a 2:17.625 on lap 4, which is only 3 seconds, I should say, or so off Rafael Kamara's pole lap that he managed to obtain after Group 8 went out second in qualifying 2. But blistering performance. Kamara noted in an interview after yesterday's race that he was delighted with the result that he managed to obtain. He was disappointed with qualifying, was finishing 3rd in his group, starting on the 3rd row of the grid, but he was very happy with his race pace, said that the pace has been with him all weekend long, and it's hard to say that he's incorrect, given the fact that he's managed to fight against Tuka Tappinen, also keeping hold of this race lead advantage after starting pole this time around, right in the wrong after missing out on pole yesterday. And we have got confirmation from race control that the safety car will be in this lap, and we will have approximately 7 or so minutes of racing action. It could well be within 7 minutes here at this point. We're on the 8 minutes and 10. So we still have 1 lap after the timer ticks to 0. But the cars making their way around once again. So the small matter of a few laps will remain before the end of the race. So the urgency is on for Tuka Tappinen and Noah Stromstead if they want to become race winners here this weekend, to stop the Prema domination. Of course, Rafael Kamara was fastest in the pre-collective tests coming into the weekend on Thursday. Collective test 1 was rained off. Unfortunately, they did not get out there to set their practice runs, but it would be James Wharton who would go fastest in collective test 2, which was very much the precursor of what was to come, though unfortunately for James Wharton, crashing out, as we alluded to, in the first qualifying session to decide the grid for race 1. And great to see him back racing this time around for race 2. But it's currently situated like this. We got a Prema on top, our race in 2nd place. Both these teams have won championships in the past. RHGP taking the first one in 2021. Prema have gone back-to-back, though, in successive years in 2022 and 2023, with their drivers Dino Beganovic and Andrea Kimi Antonelli taking the Drivers' Championship in 22 and 23. And now this time around, Kamara hoping to add his name to that list of accolades here this time around. He's got Tappinen, though, to deal with, and that's going to be a tough one to manage with Stromstead, who has been so good so far. Showed sparks, bright sparks through the course of the end of last season for RPM, and since then his team have taken him on board and know what such a right raw talent he is. Keith Donegan hails this young man as a talent as they now venture through the bus stop chicane once again, and they'll put pedal to the metal for the 2nd time in this race now. Rafael Kamara leading them down through towards turn 1. Tuka Tappinen in 2nd place. They still withhold their positions right now. Alessandro Giusti having a little look at the inside of James Wharton, with Evan Gilter still remaining in 6th as well. The 2 ARTs, both F4, French F4 champions, holding on to their places in the top 6. Dominguez in 7th, Delaney, the Red Bull Junior, in 8th. We then have Theophile Nile in 9th place, with Enzo Peugeot in 10th spot as well for Santalok Racing. Santalok currently sitting 9 and 10 and holding on to a double points finish if they can achieve this. But they got wheel-to-wheel action further back. Great chance here for Enzo Peugeot to get past Niall. Wharton trying to defend as well, as now Kamara out in front. Stromstead has taken P2 away from Tucker Tappinen, and James Wharton keeping Alessandro Giusti barely at bay as they creep through towards Malmedy now and send it down the hill. Giusti is going to try and look to advance his charge by breaking away past James Wharton, but a fabulous visit indeed for Noah Stromstead, who now goes on the hunt for Rafael Kamara, just as he did in yesterday's race, which saw them come together, coming through the bus stop chicane, narrowly missing out there, Stromstead. Of course, then the penalty would come to serve its purpose later on for an earlier infraction. Obviously not related to the moment they had coming through the final corners, but an amazing effort from Stromstead, who once again has showed his brilliance for RPM. And I'm sure they're going to be absolutely thrilled to be watching this from the sidelines. Took a tap in, and now we got some side-by-side. Once again, Delaney running wheel-to-wheel, this time around with Enzo Peugeot trying to take it on. It's the battle of the two Enzos as they head down in towards the next right-hander through Campos and Stavolo. The Red Bull trying to give itself wings, trying to hold on to the place, and now Enzo Peugeot's lost out to his teammate who goes on through. That is De Parlo, who has now moved on up. Or should I say, Théophile Niall, who has managed to hold on, should I say. Mathieu De Parlo also coming in. Enzo Peugeot did lose out to De Parlo, so 3 Santalocks on the cusp of breaking into the points this time. A grandiose restart from Mathieu De Parlo at this restart as they head down now in towards bus stop. Delaney under pressure again. Look at this, the 2 Santalocks together, trying to break past the Red Bull. One of them cutting the course coming out of the bus stop chicane, heading through towards turn 1. As we now see them now head through towards La Source this time. Zachary David as well under pressure. Rinicella coming into this as well. A massive battle across the board. And the Van Amersfoorts also coming together. There are the 2 Santalocks. Further back, Mathieu De Parlo part of it. So is Enzo Peugeot. Fastest lap for Rafael Kamara out in front. Noah Stromstead has gained 4 places in this race so far. Don't forget, we do of course have the Race Silience Award, as we now see a lot of battling further back with James Wharton now on the tail of number 8's very own Tucker Tappinen, who has now lost out, and James Wharton moves up to 3rd place, and Ivan Dominguez also moving onwards and upwards as well, past Théophile Niall in that battle for 7th place. So fabulous action across this grid as now once again the 2 Santalocks come together. Zachary David trying to look up the inside of the MP Motorsport number 55 of Valerio Rinicella, who has been stellar so far here. Of course, like I said, being tutored by the Formula 1 race winner Giancarlo Fisichella, and using all that experience that he has learnt from the formidable Italian here this time around. Fellow countryman, of course, is Fisichella to Rinicella. But at the front, it is still Kamara, and after all the action that we have seen, obviously Noah Stromstead having to dodge and weave through past the likes of Tucker Tappinen and James Wharton, he has forfeited some time, and Kamara has put in the burners on. In that last lap, he was 1.5 tenths clear ahead of Stromstead. It was a 2:17.172 by Kamara in that previous lap, with Noah Stromstead putting together a 2:17.310, and it's important to note that that lap from Kamara was indeed the fastest lap of the race so far. So once again, a statement from intent from the Brazilian, who has been absolutely sensational this weekend. As we see the 2 Santalocks again coming together. Enzo Peugeot tracking his teammates, as we now see as well. I think that might be Nico Lacorte as well further down, who's in a bit of a fight with Ruiki Liu, as well as Marta Garcia, who's involved in all this too. As they now rush down through towards turn 1. There is indeed the Iron Dames car in between 2 cars. That is the 66 Trident of Ruiki Liu as well. Down the inside from Nico Lacorte, who manages to take the place. Fantastic effort on part of him. And he now looks to proceed onwards and upwards. He's got past Ruiki Liu. Ruiki Liu now trying to take down Marta Garcia, who has also had her own stellar single-seater career at Rio Rouge and Rally. On the tenacity of Marta Garcia to defend the place against Ruiki Liu. Running wide as well is an MP Motorsport car. I think that's the number 27 of Edgar Pierre, who is also trying to work on up to. In fact, it can't be Edgar Pierre, because of course he's driving the RPM here this weekend, but I think he is involved in this fight nonetheless. You can just see him in the background And Ugo Chukwu, who has also been on the rise, has just taken another 2 places from what we last saw. He was 22nd earlier, he's 20th now. And heading down in towards Rivage. There is Ruiki Lu with the 47 of Nikhil Bora hovering all over his rear wing. Of course, Bora, a former Trident driver, teammate to Roman Belinsky. Of course, Belinsky suffering that incident earlier on. But huge scraps across this field as they make their way into the Lafanier chicane. Théophile Nile we saw earlier on as well. This is looking very good for Santalok. They've got one car just outside the top 10. Peugeot sat in 10th as well. In comes Giovanni Maschio as well in the 99, I believe, just making his way through. Oh, a car running wide, and that is the number 8, belonging to Tuukka Tappinen. Just seems to have fallen off slightly ever since taking that early advantage at the front, challenging Rafael Camara. Now he's on the back foot and being hustled and chased down here at this stage by what looks to be Alessandro Giusti, who is right in his rear wing, and not to mention they're bringing along Evan Gilter in this fight as well. The 2 Frenchmen coming together, the 2 ARTs, looking to pick apart the RSGP driver. As they cross the line once again, the timer is ticked to 0, and we're on the final lap of the race. Camara with a 2.8 second advantage ahead of Noah Stromstead. This time it's very likely they will share the podium, as they would have done had Stromstead not had a penalty post-race yesterday. There's Camara over the top of the crest out of Eau Rouge and Rally on the Prema. Successful again. I mean, what a weekend he has had. I mean, to come away with 2 race wins and a pole position to boot, not to mention the fastest lap of the race. That is a nice way to crown your weekend here at Spa, as we now see in the background. Now again, we see the RSGP of Tuukka Tappinen losing out to Alessandro Giusti, heading into Les Combes. And the 2022 French F4 champion now moves up into 4th place. Tappinen reduced to 5th. And now needs to try and keep Evan Gilter in behind. And that's going to be easier said than done, because he's the French F4 champion of last year in 2023. Further back then, we have a gap to the Théophile Niles Santalok car with Ivan Dominguez down in 8th place. Enzo Dellini having a good race as well, managing to brush past and keep Enzo Peugeot at bay. There is a gap between Peugeot and Dellini that sits at 1.1 seconds. But coming through the Lafanier chicane, all he has to do now, Rafael Camara, is keep it cool, calm and collected. He's 3 seconds clear of Noah Stromstead, the Dane, who in his own right, I think, can be absolutely delighted with his performance this weekend. And RPM have needed this. They had a difficult weekend back at Hockenheim Ring. It certainly wasn't one to remember. But this time around, they have a chance at notching some serious points on the table. 18 points will go their way should Stromstead cross the line in the position he is in now. But all eyes on this talented young Brazilian, Rafael Camara, with the fastest lap of the race as well, a 2:16.791. He's going to enter the bus stop chicane. Stromstead is not going to challenge him this time, certainly not for the race win. But coming out of turn 19, it's 2 for the price of 1 weekend here at Spa for Rafael Camara. He's taken pole, 2 race wins, the first driver to do it in this championship. And not to mention, that's 3 wins out of 4 races through the course of this season, and a blanket podium record so far this campaign as well. Rafael Camara unstoppable here at Spa. Noah Stromstead finishing 2nd, James Wharton making it a double podium for Prema after finishing just ahead of Alessandro Giusti, who finished quick after disposing of Tuukka Tappinen coming into the final lap, and Evan Gilter finishing in 6th place ahead of Théophile Nile. And I must say, a wonderful Santalok result as well, with Enzo Peugeot finishing in the top 10. Ivan Dominguez in 8th. Enzo Dellini finishing in 9th as well. But let's take you through the provisional results after that one. Rafael Camara is your victor, finishing just under 2.5 seconds clear of rookie driver Noah Stromstead. James Wharton in P3. Alessandro Giusti in 4th. Tuukka Tappinen in P5, Evan Gilter in 6th, Théophile Nile in 7th place, Ivan Dominguez in 8th, Enzo Dellini in 9th place, shall I say Enzo Peugeot in 10th, Brando Bador in 11th, Matteo De Paolo in 12th, Valerio Rinicella in 13th, Zachary David in 14th, Nico Lacorte in 15th for Trident. And then down in 16th place, we saw Marta Garcia from Iron Dames. A truly great effort on her part. She managed to keep Ruiki Liu in behind in 17th. Giovanni Maschio in 18th spot as well. Nikhil Bora in 19th. Edgar Pierre 20th. Kanato Lei in 21st. Ugo Gachukwu in 22nd. Costa Taparis in 23rd. Jesse Carrasquedo in 24th. Pedro Clero 25th. Lena Bula in 26th. Yaroslav Vasalaho in 27th. Alex Sauer down in 28th. Roman Belinsky, after losing out up the Kemmel Straight after coming together with Ivan Dominguez, he reduced down to 29th. Roman Andriolo, after being involved in that incident with Nandavud Biram Bhakti, both drivers out of the race after crashing out at the top of Kemmel Interlake-Com. But what a fabulous, fabulous race from the unstoppable Rafael Camara. A wonderful result on his part. Prema once again in delight after successfully managing to work their way to the front once again. And following suit from his win in last season, race 1, he has now brought about not only yet another successive race win for Prema here during a Spa weekend. Of course, they won it back with Dino Beganovic in race 1 in 2022. Let's take a look at the highlights from that truly extraordinary race on Camara's part. He led from the front in as they got underway. Running wide, though, we did see the 89 of Ivan Dominguez touching the grass there on the inset, but it all came to roost, heading through the right-hand side. You can see in the background as well, not a great getaway from Ugo Gachukwu at all. He actually lost so much pace at the very start and was forced to wait in behind in 30th and had to really fight to get himself up the order. A big lock-up as well from James Wharton coming through towards turn 1, but the action did not stop there. Brando Bador ended up in the gravel trap afterwards as well, with Noah Stromstead trying to lay down the hammer upon James Wharton, which eventually, of course, he would. This was a big moment as well. Roman Belinsky getting onto the grass after going side by side, and credit as well to the number 44, of course, the Santalot driver Teofil Nile avoiding that incident. This was a huge crash as well. Biram Bhakti coming into contact with Roman Andriolo coming towards the end, but no one could stop Rafael Camara spinning the tyres across the line to become a back-to-back winner here at Spa, the first driver to do so in the Formula Regional European Championship by Alpine, and he will celebrate yet another dominant Prema weekend. Well, apologies for the strong language there, folks, but understandably the celebrations in full swing. They have every reason to be thrilled. I mean, what a weekend for Rafael Camara, and that's yet another one, another notch on his lapel to potentially go on to take the championship with. I mean, imagine that, 3 wins in 4 races, 4 podiums in 4 races, and coming off the back of a fastest lap as well. Truly remarkable. And he achieved that on lap 10 as well. The marshal's just clearing up any of the debris that's left over after that last incident coming up, and that's the car number 6 as well that's just been collected. That was Alex Sauer's car, who unfortunately came unstuck through the course of the race as well. The Kick Motorsport team have had a really bad race too, given the fact they lost Biram Bhakti in that crash with what looked to be Andriolo. And now Alex Sauer also seeing his car fished off the track. But a remarkable performance all round. But a huge hat tip as well to Roman Belinsky, who I must say avoided that potential instance at the top of Kemmel very well indeed. Came totally away from the racing line and allowed the other cars to filter on through. And credit to those drivers too for avoiding the stricken car in the middle of the track. And I'm sure the fans would have enjoyed watching the battles unfold. Of course, James Wharton keeping Tuka Tapinen behind, and eventually Tapinen losing out to Alessandro Giusti. Giusti finishing really quickly and almost requisite of what we saw from him towards the tail end of last season. Hasn't yet captured that same form, Giusti, as we would have expected him to do so. But who knows? It's a long season ahead and we still have lots of races still to come. And of course, with the trip to Zandvoort coming up, a largely different circuit in terms of track width and braking zones. Little straights, only one real main home straight, of course, on the start-finish line that takes you through to the bank corners through the first sector. So I'm sure they'll enjoy trying to find some overtakes around there. Obviously, qualifying will be imperative when they head to the Dutch circuit. And then, of course, another circuit after that Hungaroring, which will be, again, another testing venture. But we always witness some great racing here in this championship. James Wharton, great to see him on the podium as well after the issues he had to deal with after the first qualifying session on Saturday, where he ended up in the wall. Noah Stromstead will enjoy this one too after losing out on the podium yesterday. He does lay claim to a podium finish this time around. And that's his first podium of the campaign as well for Noah Stromstead. And there'll be many more, I'm sure. Here's the Brazilian national anthem. Well, we're definitely looking at a future star in the making, I think, in the face of this young man, Rafael Camara. The Brazilian fans, no doubt, going wild at watching him take yet another victory this season. But credit to James Wharton, as I said, coming back after the issues yesterday. Now a trophy in his hands here at Spa. A circuit that goes down in the annals of history as one of the most legendary European circuits. To win here is obviously special. To achieve a podium here is special. And the smile on the face of Noah Stromstead after the tricky moments he's had this weekend, given the fact that he was within prospects of even a race win on top of the podium. But Rafael Camara lifting his trophy aloft, well-deserved as well. And there'll be many more of that this season, I'm sure. And Prema also celebrating with yet another victory. A team's trophy in their hands as well, as they stand together for a final photo. Of course, the rookie race win being presented by the representative from Pirelli, going to Noah Stromstead. His hands are going to be full after this one. But a remarkable performance all around here at Spa. Where can Prema go from here? Where can Camara go from here? What about Noah Stromstead? The story is only just beginning, folks. And we have got a lot to celebrate, and I'm sure a lot in store with a long season still to come. And after this, of course, plenty more to come. Next up will be a trip to the Dutch circuit of Zandvoort. Until then, folks, take care. Goodbye.